So, welcome to KIPP Math. I'm going to take you through an introduction of our various components so that you can join one of what I think is the most exciting and purposeful and meaningful things going on in Washington, D.C. Our goal through this pre-work and through the summer math PD that you'll be participating in is to have a common vision for excellent mathematics planning and instruction. Um, there's a lot of prep so that anyone who joins us can feel like they're just as prepared as the returning teachers, which I really appreciate you doing. And then, of course, we'll meet in person to really make sure that we talk things through. I'm your host, Lisa Ramish. This is me when I was a classroom teacher. I worked at AIM Academy for 8 years, and then I became the math instructional coach, and this is my 7th year doing that. Although I'm filming this in 2019, right? So who knows when you're actually watching this video? It could be years from now. I hope it's years from now. Before we get started in the nitty-gritty of our preparation, I wanted to make sure you understood kind of framing why we're doing the work that we're doing and what we're trying to accomplish through our math program here together. I mapped out the top 22 of 130 schools in Washington, D.C. This is Washington, D.C. It actually has a chunk out of it for Virginia, but it's at least part of a square. Washington, D.C. is divided into quadrants. So, oops. Oh no, it's starting without me. It's divided into quadrants like this. There's northwest, northeast, southeast, and southwest. The southwest quadrant is actually quite small because of Virginia. And one of the things you can see here as I start to number the schools that achieved the highest on the PARC last year, one of the things you'll see is that the top 8 schools are almost all in the northwest quadrant, right? And there's this one on Capitol Hill, there's this one right in the center of DC, but if you want to get the very top education, right, you pretty much have to be living over here, right, except for a few locations. And then we start to see a KIPP school. We start to see KIPP Promise Academy. Oops. Right there. That's number 9. The blue is going to be KIPP, you'll notice. And then we keep going. 11, 12. There's another KIPP school. Another KIPP school. Another KIPP school. Number 18. If you make a map of the top 22 out of 130 schools, that's like the top 20% of schools, you will see that KIPP, right, is 5 of the 8 schools really providing an education on this side, right, of the city. And they're the only network providing an education across the river. Right? So as we're talking about our work and we're thinking about test results and we get into the school year and we get, bogged down in the nitty-gritty, right? What we're really doing here when we get a high test result is saying that your zip code doesn't determine the quality of education you're going to have, right? That if you live east of the river, you still get access to a college education. You don't have to live in Georgetown. You don't have to live in Chevy Chase. And that's really, really important. And that is what's going to guide our work. And just to give you a sense of what kind of education really is being provided at some places, that would be the only option, if not for KIPP being there. This is the lowest performing schools, number 130, 129, and 128 on the map, right? And so just that work we're doing is so important for so many reasons. Great. So I'm going to talk you through the bare bones here today. And what I first want to say, as we look at this classroom of some just really excited teachers and kids working together to do mathematics, is that it really is just the bare bones. There is a heart and a soul um, beating strong that really makes our math department what it is. And that is like the beautiful magic that happens in the relationship between teachers and kids in a classroom, and the joy we bring, and the you know deep belief in our kids. This is just the start in the framework. It feels a little dry, but we're gonna get to this beating heart and thriving soul pretty soon. But I'm gonna talk you through the bare bones. One of the things that gets KIPP to get those results that you saw on that map is these four things that we have in common: a common curriculum, common structures, common planning, and common assessments. And the reason it's so important that these are all in common is because then it means we've taken the time to make sure that these are research based. They are truly considered the best practice, because we want to give our kids the very best. And then also that we can work together in a really large community to improve on these things, as opposed to just, kind of all just like trying our best on our own, slogging through for ourselves. And so these things really connect us and make us incredibly strong program, and I'm going to talk them through. Let's start with the common curriculum. I think this is really one of the keys to our success, and I'm super proud of the fact that math at KIPP rests on three strong legs. One is My Math. My Math is a fairly traditional curriculum. It is based on a textbook, which we provide to you with a teacher's guide. It's structured in a fairly I do, you do, we do kind of way. Although there's plenty of other opportunities outside of that. It's what you probably grew up having in your school, or with most public schools, when we were kids. ST Math is a blended learning program. We're for blended learning. It's on a computer. It is self-paced, and it's very, very visual, and it's something our kids end up really enjoying. And then we have this block called Problem of the Day. And during Problem of the Day, we actually do two curriculums. We do model drawing and we do context for learning. Model drawing is really focused on how to engage with story problems. Context for learning is where we really learn through engaging in a real world problem. The reason I think this is so awesome is because Problem of the Day is very constructivist. Problem of the Day is very open-ended and really driven by students just like working through a problem and kind of building their own conclusions and constructing their learning. My Math is more traditional, and between those two, we offer this beautifully blended program. Often these two are kind of put at odds with one another. Like you're either like traditional or constructivist. But KIPP is both, and I think that's why our kids love math so much. I think that's why they're so successful. So that's our program there. Now, all of this program is organized on a website that I'm going to talk you through accessing in a minute, but the cool thing about a curriculum is that you can find the My Math lessons and the Problem of the Day lessons organized so that it's really crystal clear for you. And you're not digging around, you're not creating materials, because you really want to be spending your time thinking, how do I best execute this lesson for kids, or how do I engage with this parent, and let me do that engagement. So now would be a good time to pause the video. You can go to kippdcmath.com. That's where this curriculum is kept, and just bookmark it for right now. The password is math, so nice and easy to remember. This is where you're going to go to access that common curriculum, although you'll also have at your school access to the teacher's guide, access to the My Math workbooks, access to the context for learning books if you want them in hard copy, and there's an online place too. So do that. Now I'd like to talk to you a little bit about the common structure. So there are like about 110 minutes in everyone's calendar for math. we're gonna break this down really carefully for you so that you feel like you are really clear on what to do during each of these components. Again, the common structure lets us know that we're really fitting in what we found to be like the very most successful. There's room for variation within this, but it's something that like we talk through kind of as a team before we switch things up. And we want to make sure we do kind of deliberately with like a lot of thinking in advance. That's partly just because we want to make the best decisions, but it's also because the kids thrive on routine. And the most important thing to really know about this structure is that it's the same routine every single day, right? Just keeping that really going strong for the kids. We have our common planning, and you'll come more to this in your other pre-work. We have common planning. This is the way it works. We have these 3 curriculums, right? ST, My Math, and Problem of the Day. I help make those more digestible by filming videos, just like the one that you're listening to right now. Then you, the teacher, watch the videos, and we meet together as a team to discuss the videos. The videos are not like a one-size-fits-all, this is what you have to do exactly. They're more trying to unpack the content and give guidelines for where teacher moves really are appropriate, like given the content, and then we kind of talk it through. And oftentimes in these meetings, we really make some decisions about like doing things differently, right, than we have in the past. Like when we're here, we're making changes. The lessons in the videos aren't set in stone. Then you deliver the content to the kids and we keep meeting, right? You keep watching videos. And so we're constantly able to like really build the knowledge about what we're going to teach with our teammates and also reflect on our data in a really productive way. And so you're doing this pre-work now, you'll meet me at summer PD, and then you'll also see me once a week for a content team meeting. We call that CTM. So you'll see me once a week for that content team meeting, and it will be like an ongoing relationship that I hope you'll find really, really useful. The next part of of all of this runs through the math website, right? So again, I just had you bookmark this, password being math. When you're at the math website, you would go to your grade and you're going to be brought to the calendar here. When you are meeting with me, before you meet, you're going to watch the upcoming lessons for the following week. So like when we have our first content meeting, you'll watch the lessons for Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, August 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th. 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th. Yes. What you do is you just click on the lesson number and the lesson objectives. This is the lesson number. Let me make sure I underline that for you. This is the lesson number, and this is like the objective number. These lesson numbers don't necessarily go in order. The reason is because the first year we did this curriculum, we numbered them, right? And then we realized like, lesson 4 needs a 4A and a 4B. Lesson 5 should go here. And so you should expect to see that this really varies. The other thing I'll say is that I notice sometimes we would start to just jump to the video and the PowerPoint. Those are definitely there as easy access, but I really encourage you to actually click on the lesson itself. The video is there too, but more importantly, if you scroll down, you'll see notes, like over here, right? Here are notes, right? So there's a reflection question to check kind of like what high-level thinking should you be doing after you watch the video. It outlines the materials, and this is where it's not enough to just look at the video on the PowerPoint. You really want to know kind of like where do I find the guided practice? What is the independent practice? What does the exit ticket look like? One of the things you'll see is for some lessons, the guided practice and independent practice come from the My Math workbook, which you'll have a copy of to photocopy out of. Once we get more into the school year, these just become things you download in Box. Box is like our Google Drive. It's like Google. It's a way of just keeping common material and Word documents. The reason the material is on, the reason we moved from the My Math workbook to Box is because we started to edit the material and improve the material over the years. And so a lot of the lessons just got rewritten, even though they still do come from this great research-based curriculum. You'll also notice that our exit tickets start to have links because they move online. So we are using a program called Edulastic, which is an online quiz creator, and our kids actually take an exit ticket at the end of every block, and it's online. So anyway, I really encourage you to actually click on the lesson number and really make sure you've looked through everything on the website. As you're prepping lessons, you'll watch the video and take notes on the PowerPoints. That's what you'll bring to the meeting. So yeah, let's actually take a pause, right? I think it's a good time to like kind of play, right? Like watch the math video for the first day of school. Take notes on the printout as you do it, so you'll have it. And that way you can start to kind of see where we're at with this common planning that we're going to do every week. Every week you will watch the videos, taking notes on the PowerPoints. You'll complete the exit ticket for each lesson and complete the IP for each lesson. And so those three things, the PowerPoints, the PowerPoints, the exit ticket, and the IP, those three things are the things you'll bring to that meeting that I had that little doodle of, right? About watching the PowerPoints and taking notes, right? You want to translate what I'm saying into things you want to say and write when you're teaching. So the vision is that you'll take that PowerPoint that you took notes on and you'll actually have it in your hand when you're teaching, right? You're not just teaching cold. You're not teaching from memory. You've got it there, so you make sure you hit all the key points and ask the key questions and have the exemplar response in front of you. As you complete the exit ticket, you want to be understanding where you're headed, right? You want to have a vision for your goal. And as you complete the IP, you want to identify areas of struggle and areas of opportunity. So even, right, circling the areas of struggle, putting a star by the areas of opportunity so that, you know, the IP could be rather long, but you know you want to get to the last problem on the back because that's where you're really going to engage kids in some thinking, right? And so this is the prep that we do every single week. Our entire network does it, and we debrief every week together about it as well. We also have, this is the last one, I promise, I know this is a lot, common assessments. So every single day we take exit tickets, and those all lead us to the end of year assessments we take. We take the PARC, which is the state test, and we take the NWA, which is a national norm reference test that really measures growth and shows how our kids compare to the rest of the kids in the country. It's really exciting, both of those assessments, and you'll hear us talking about them a lot. Throughout the year, we also have just regular old tests, right? But some of those tests get skipped for bigger benchmarks, which we take on something called AINIT. So those are just a benchmark test, and really good because we've taken them over many years of gauging our progress and seeing that we're on track to be in that top 20% of Washington, D.C. All of the exit tickets and tests are organized on a platform called Edulastic, and you're going to get a little training on Edulastic during summer PD, but feel free to check it out. Like, you could pause the video right now and set up a free Edulastic account and start to play. It is the most intuitive website I have ever worked with. Like, you could figure out how to use it in 45 seconds. And it has so many resources, so many videos to help you, so many ways of writing different online things, because as we know, like, there's a lot of technology enhanced items these days on our final assessment. So I encourage you to check that out. The last thing to know that's really important about our common assessments is that we record our exit tickets every single day in a public tracker. And this is just really fundamental to our work and who we are as a math department because, first of all, we're really transparent with our data. There's no shame in a low exit ticket result, right? Unless we try to hide it and don't follow up to fix it, right? But otherwise, if we happen to see that an exit ticket is lower, right, than our neighbors, we use that to go over to our neighbors and say, hey, this is what I was up against. How did you do it? Like, what was going on? Right? It's really just this amazing tool for growth and reflection. But it does require a certain amount of vulnerability. Like, it is super scary, I think, for people to put their data into this tracker, especially if they're new. One thing I can tell you is that if you talk to any of the people who have done it, they will tell you that it is terrifying and then just not even a big deal after like the first few weeks, right? But what you'll do is every single day you'll come to your grade level tab, you'll find the lesson number that you taught, and then you will enter in your class average next to your name. So I'm actually going to ask you, you can find this on the quick links tab right here. And I would ask you to right now pause the video and just bookmark that. And while you're there, put your full name into the tracker under the correct school, right? So like right here, if you're working at Promise, find your grade, find your school name, and put your full name. That lets me know that you like figured out how to find the tracker. You don't need any data entered yet, but this is going to be a place you visit every single day, right? And again, it comes back to like our content team meetings and then us being able to reflect together. So that's everything. That's the bare bones. That's just like the basic components, right? That get us to a place where then we can really think, how do I deliver a lesson in a way that captures all of my students' imagination and really builds on their content prior knowledge and really lets them discover the mathematics and feel ownership over this learning. And it's a really amazing and exciting experience. Like, even if you don't consider yourself a math person, I think you'll find yourself getting totally swept up because these bare bones form an amazing foundation. We just have some next steps now, right? So if you've done the first thing here, right? So you watched the introduction video to find out about the components. I'm going to ask you to read an article. I feel like it's really, really important to think about math climate, right? What is in the air we breathe of a math classroom that surrounds us and fills us, that creates that energy and love for mathematics that makes everyone want to engage. So this is a bit about math climate, and it's specifically thinking of it through the perspective of avoiding math anxiety, which is a really common thing. And we don't want it because we can imagine that it would really prevent people from wanting to work hard and engage and feeling good about themselves, feeling like they belong. Whenever you read an article with me, I'm going to ask you to do the 4 A's. So writing down, what assumptions do you feel like this author is making? What do you agree with? What do you argue with? What do you want to act on? And then when you come to our first summer PD, you'll be talking about these 4 questions with me and with partners and with a team. Then the rest of our planning is divided into these 3 sections. So we've got the My Math block, we've got model drawing, and we've got context for learning. For the My Math block, I'm going to ask you to complete a thought catcher as you watch 3 parts of the mini lesson. So we talked about how the My Math block is 60 minutes. The 3 most important things that happen during those 60 minutes are the introduction to material, guided practice, and independent practice. You can watch these videos and just start to think about what you saw. I just want you to have some idea of what it looks like when someone teaches. I've created a unit overview for like the grade for the year. And so what I'm going to ask you to do is read those overviews. And as you do, you'll see problems are interspersed throughout to complete all those problems on the scratch paper provided. This is really, really, really important because one of the pieces of feedback I got from new teachers at the end of the year was like, gosh, I wish I'd known everything I know now, right? And part of what they mean is I wish I had a vision for like what the level of work was going to look like by the time we reach the park. And so this is that vision, and this is going to form a key part of our summer PD that we're going to talk about. For model drawing, there's an introductory article just so you can learn what model drawing is. And again, I'll ask you to write the 4 A's. And then there's a video where I talk you through model drawing with the checklist. One of the reasons why we're having you prep this in advance is because it's a lot to think through. Like, what does 60 minutes of My Math look like? What does 30 minutes of model drawing look like? Or the other thing you might do during that 30 minutes of problem of the day is context for learning, right? So you have one of these two things happening during problem of the day. And so really being able to take that time over the summer to like watch the video about it and then practice some problems, practice some model drawing so that we can go over it and practice teaching it. For context for learning, this is a whole curriculum, and it's a different kind of curriculum, I'm going to guess, than you learned growing up. And so step one is just to read the curriculum. And there's an introductory book. This is a whole little book that comes with the curriculum. And I especially want you to focus on these pages, again, answering the 4 A's. And finally, watching videos of the curriculum happening and filling in a graphic organizer, just like you did up here for the My Math, right? But that should give you a sense of the 3 different things you could be doing during context for learning, either developing, context, supporting. If you do this, you will have a really strong foundation for all of the pieces. The only other thing that's not on here is ST Math, which you'll get a training in later. Please do take your time to do these things. Thank you so much for the time you've already given. And I'll just warn you about one other thing that will be coming up, which is that all the teachers, new and returning, are going to be asked to prep that first week of lessons because we'll have a content team meeting. It'll probably be August 1st and 2nd, which seems really far away. But in all those days leading up to August 1st and 2nd, you're going to be in PD, right? You're going to be setting up your classroom. You're going to be learning about reading. You're going to be learning about, how the brain works. You're going to be learning about how to embrace diversity, equity, and inclusion. Such important things. And so if you want to prep the first week of lessons now, that's awesome. We talked about already, right? You write notes on the printouts of the PowerPoints. You complete the exit ticket and you complete the IP. Sorry, this is actually not even going to be on there right now. You don't have to do that. So if you do those 3 things for that first week of school, you're going to be so ready. And so again, just go to that KIPP Math website and you can find the calendar for your school year. All right. Thanks so much. I cannot wait to meet you. We'll see each other